Everybody, just want to welcome you to Week 10, Module 10 for ME144 Heat Transfer. So within this module, we're going to start our Chapter 5 in our textbook, taking a look at convection for flow and thermal considerations. We'll also look at some boundary layer problems and go through a couple example problems together as well. So some bookkeeping items for this module. You do have your quiz number 10. This has been posted to Blackboard, and this will be due on Friday the 9th by 4 p.m. And a reminder, you also have homework number 4 that's going to be due on Monday the 5th by the end of the day. Also, I want to remind you that I do have office hours scheduled for Mondays from 9 a.m. till 10 a.m. Now, if these times don't work for you, send me an email, a message, or a chat on Teams, and we'll find a time that works for both of us. Also, the TA does have office hours scheduled for Mondays and Wednesdays from 11 to 12 p.m. Here's his contact right there. And one thing to note is that the TA is the one who is grading your homeworks and your exams. So if you have any grading related questions or questions as you're working through your homework, this would be a great opportunity to use his office hours. So now I want to take a look at the schedule for the rest of the semester, see where we're at. Boxed in red here, we're on module number 10 right now. So we're getting towards the end of the semester here. We got an exam coming up on the week of the 20th. Other things we have coming up, again, you have your homework number 4. It's going to be due on Monday by the end of the day. So we'll be covering Chapter 6. So that'll be the last topic that we're going to be covering before the exam. And then the next two lectures are going to be for Module 11, where we're reviewing our Chapter 5 and our Chapter 6 content. So we'll wrap up Chapter 6 within Module 10, do a review module for Module 11, and then you'll have your exam here within the beginning of Module 12. So the other thing to think about is we'll come back, finish up Chapter 7 after the exam, and then the rest of the semester is going to be dedicated to your group projects. You guys haven't started on that. Now's the time to really buckle down and get going on that. This is a decent portion of your grade dedicated to this group project. You want to make sure you put in a lot of effort with this. As we jump into our Module 10, we're going to be taking a look at convection, including energy transfer by both the bulk fluid motion, known as advection, and the random motion of fluid molecules, known as conduction or diffusion. So within this, we're going to provide an understanding for the physical mechanisms that underlie convection transfer and develop the means to perform convection transfer calculations. We're also going to take a look at the physical origins and discuss those, along with the relevant dimensionless parameters and some important analogies that are going to be developed. So objectives within this Module 10, we're going to take a look at the boundary, the convection boundary layer, discuss the local and average convection coefficient, look at laminar and turbulent flow, talk about the boundary layer equations, get into the boundary layer similarity. We're going to be discussing the normalized boundary layer equations, talk about the physical interpretation of the dimensionless parameters, as well as getting into some discussion with the boundary layer analogies. So relating this to our textbook, this is Chapter 6. We're breaking this into two different sections. We're going to go with Module 10.1, which is going to be Chapter 6, Sections 6.1 to 6.4, and then we'll get into Module 10.2, which will be Chapter 6, Sections 6.5 through 6.8. So for our first section, Module 10.1, we're going to begin our Chapter 6 talking about an introduction to convection, looking at flow and thermal considerations. So within this module here, we're going to take a look at the convection boundary layer, both the fluid and thermal boundary layers, talk about local and average convection coefficient for heat and mass transfer. Then we'll get into some laminar and turbulent flow, looking at velocity boundary layers and thermal and species concentration. And then last, we're going to get into the boundary layer equation for laminar and compressible flow. So activities within this module here, we'll go through the governing theories for the above discussed topics here, look at our governing and key equations, talk about some practical applications, and then go through some problem solving together. For the second section, our Module 10.2, we're now going to get into some of the boundary layer discussion. So within boundary layers, we're going to take a look at the normalized boundary layer equations, some similarity parameters, and then the functional form of the solutions. Then we'll get into discussion on the physical interpretation of the dimensionless parameters, along with our boundary layer analogies, specifically looking at our heat and mass transfer analogy, evaporative cooling, and our Reynolds analogy. So again, within this module here, we'll go through the theory behind these topics, talk about some of our key equations, go through some practical applications, and then do out some problem solving together.